The cold air gnawed at Evelyn Harper's face as she stared, breath held, at the flickering weather charts pinned across the dimly lit war room. Outside, the distant roar of artillery echoed, but inside it was silence, the tense quiet of a battlefield fought with knowledge rather than guns. A storm was forming on the horizon, both in the sky and within the unfolding battle itself. Commanders jittered, seeking the crucial edge. Her forecast, precise, impossible to ignore, was the thin thread between victory and devastating defeat. How had one woman, tied to nothing but instruments and calculations, shaped the fate of entire armies? And why had her vital role been swallowed by the shadows of war? World War II was a maelstrom of violence and chaos, but in the trenches of strategy, weather was a ruthless enemy no soldier could see. Evelyn Harper was no ordinary meteorologist. By 1943, she was entrenched in the dark nerve center of the Allied command in England, under relentless pressure to predict the unpredictable. Cold mud, diesel fumes, the relentless tapping of Morse code machines set the scene. Her work was invisible to most, a quiet battle fought far from the roaring frontlines. Evelyn's hands trembled as she adjusted instruments, charting wind patterns, atmospheric pressure, and ominous cloud movements. Each reading could mean the success or catastrophic failure of a mission. The fateful morning of June 5th was a crucible. Intel whispered of the looming D-Day invasion, the largest amphibious assault in history, but beneath it all, a deadly threat brewed in the gray skies. Evelyn's analysis revealed a narrow window, only hours to act before the tempest would rage, threatening to drown the entire operation. Every voice in the room leaned in as she revealed her forecast. Relentless Atlantic storms were poised to strike exactly as invasion plans called for. Panic was palpable. The generals faced a gut-wrenching choice: delay at great strategic cost or launch into the jaws of a brewing storm. Evelyn's reports detailed the unpredictable nature of coastal storms, fog that could cloak or blind, winds fierce enough to capsize fragile landing crafts, rain that would turn beaches into quagmires. Yet she bore another, heavier burden. In a world that celebrated bullets and bravery, her science was invisible, her credibility constantly questioned. Male colleagues resented the authority she wielded. Despite threats and isolation, Evelyn pressed onward, acutely aware that one miscalculation could mean thousands of lives lost. The night led into frantic hours with Evelyn poring over data, the maps revealing split-second updates. Sweat beaded on her forehead as skyborne reconnaissance reports conflicted with her calculations. Was this a moment to trust gut instincts honed by years of practice or rigid forecasts? As the storm clouds thickened, Evelyn stood her ground. Delay the invasion 24 hours, she insisted, or risk catastrophic failure. The blunt decision stunned commanders but proved prescient. Overnight, turbulent skies battered the English Channel, postponing Operation Overlord to June 6. When dawn broke, the storm had waned, leaving a fragile but decisive window for the amphibious assault. The success of D-Day owed a silent debt to Evelyn's relentless vigilance and courage amidst skepticism and scorn. Yet, when history was penned, the meteorologist's name vanished beneath tales of heroism on the beaches, the general's grand strategies, and the soldier's valor. Her crucial role was locked away in classified files, overshadowed by visible feats of war. Behind the facade of victory lay Evelyn's unyielding fight, a struggle for recognition in a world ready to forget the women whose minds shaped history's tides. The harsh reality was profound. War's true fabric was woven not just by guns, but by unseen battles waged in bleak rooms against nature's fury. Evelyn Harper's story reminds us that survival depended on foresight as much as firepower. A lone woman, isolated, burdened by secrecy, yet indispensable, held the fragile line between triumph and disaster. Her legacy is a stark testament to the hidden layers of war, to the science, the sacrifice, and the silenced voices of those who shaped the fate of nations in the shadows. If even for a moment, we ask ourselves how many wars were won or lost to the whims of violent skies, then perhaps Evelyn's story will finally claim its place beyond the archives, a monument to the unseen, to resilience, and to the insane truth they hid about Evelyn Harper.